Hello, everybody. Hello, hello, hello. It's a beautiful Thursday. Welcome to the Witty Writers Show, live as always. Anything goes. And I am so stoked because today I have with me Stephen Manchester. Hello, Steve.
Hi, Beth. How are you? Thanks so much for having me today.
Oh my gosh, I've been so excited, especially because the more I researched you and the more I realized how fabulous your books are, I was like,
Thank you.
oh,
Thank you
this is
so
so
much.
awesome.
Yeah.
Steve, I mean, wow, what a journey you have had. Really, I mean, I've been blown away. Now, the reason we got introduced to each other was because your book was recently chosen by the book club hosted by Heather Skinner
Right.
as their monthly read recently.
Yeah.
And my gosh, I mean, I'm part of Heather's book club, and the comments and the reviews that your book was receiving was just amazing. It really was. You was touching so many people,
And I'm
and
grateful for that.
it really was amazing. And I thought, oh, this guy's really good. This book's awesome. And when I started looking into you, I was blown away, honestly. And now I know you are a very modest person. I got
try.
that. I got that. You are a very modest person. So let me blow your trumpet for you for a minute, and without trying to embarrass you,
Thank you.
because you not only are you an author, but you've had multiple plays produced. So you're a multi-produced playwright. You've published over 20 books, I counted. And you've won, oh my gosh. Okay, so you've had stories that were selected for the Chicken Soup for the Soul series, which is amazing. I mean, that's an achievement in itself. You're an author of 7 national bestsellers.
Right.
Oh my gosh, are you glowing yet? Because I'm like, this guy is awesome. You've also, let's have a look. You won the Los Angeles Book Festival Award and the 2018 New York Book Festival Award as well. Plus, you've been on shows like CNN, The Bets. You've been on CBS, NBC. Wow. You must feel like you've been on the wildest ride ever.
Yeah, it's been fantastic. It really has. I mean, a lot of work, but it's paid off. So I'm grateful for that.
Do you know, I always say, because obviously, as you know, Autumn and I run the Write Better, Author Smarter support group for authors, and we do try and give lots of tips and advice and hopefully lots of inspiration and confidence. You really are a success story, Steve, because you really have worked your socks off since you started. And it just goes to show that hard work does pay off. And if you can keep going and keep moving forward, good things happen. You really are amazing. But let's go back to the beginning, because, I mean, you're a bit elusive, I must admit. What did you do before you started writing books?
I actually worked as a correction officer for the Massachusetts Department of Corrections. So 5 years I served as an investigator behind the wall, but I did, close to 10 years. I was also a soldier. I served in Operation Desert Storm for the U.S. Army, 7th Corps. So I was military police. I was a sergeant, squad leader. So a lot of my background is in the military and law enforcement. And, the joke of jokes is that, I write tearjerkers, right? So male perspective to a female audience, which is a little bit ironic, and it's not lost on me. It's just what I'm really, really comfortable, writing.
Do you know what? I actually think it's amazing, Steve, to be honest with you, because too many romance authors, and I don't mean this to upset anybody, but they're women. So it's actually quite refreshing to read stories and read amazing books from a male perspective, because, it's the old cliche, isn't it? Men assume that women are psychic and we know everything.
Right.
We don't.
Right.
We can't, women can't read the minds of men and children, even though our husbands and children, we got this, eyes in the back of our heads and stuff.
Right.
But that's not the case. And I think it's so amazing, as I said, that you share your stories from a male perspective, emotions, feelings, insecurities, worries. These are all things that women need to know and want to know.
Right.
You know, because a lot of men, especially in my generation, have still been brought up to think you can't share your feelings, you can't express your emotions, you know,
Right.
man up, you know, get on with
Right.
it, you
Right.
know, shake it off, sort of thing.
Yeah.
So it's actually really, really nice to see that side of it. And I think more and more authors are starting to understand that.
Right.
And I say that because people like, and obviously this is completely unrelated to your books, but E.L. James that wrote 50 Shades, she's
Mhm.
done her books from the male perspective as well,
Right.
because there's a market for it. So
Sure.
I think not only are your books timely because people are wanting that, I mean, it's just insightful. It really, really is. Do you know, I'm going to stop talking for a second because we've got people popping up and saying hello. So
Oh,
I'm going to put them on. We've got Theodore who's joined us. He says, "Hi, Beth." Oh, look at that. I've got hearts and roses. I like that. Theodore, thank you very much. That has made my day. We've also got Heather. Here she is. She
Heather's
says,
the best.
she really is. She says, "I'm so excited for this interview. Hi, Beth and Stephen from Gemma and I." Hi, Gemma. Love you. Hope you're Easter eating your spinach. Heather is absolutely amazing.
She's the best.
And
Gemma too.
yeah, they really are. And she did a fantastic job of doing your month on her
Right.
book
She did.
club.
Yeah, it was amazing.
I don't know how she fits it all in. She's a bit like me. I think she's a bit of a workaholic.
Yeah, she doesn't sleep a lot.
And Josephine is here as well. She says, "Hello, honey." I don't know whether you mean for me or Steve, but you both so we like it. It's
We'll take
it. And Wendy's joined us. She says, "Hi, Beth and Stephen." Hello, Wendy. Thank you for joining us, darling. If you have any questions, please pop them in the comments. That would be fantastic. Now, as for your past careers, I think, you know, it just goes to show that it doesn't matter what you did in the past.
Right.
Or how, you know, whether it was more manly or more feminine career, none of it matters, does it, Steve? I think it all depends on the story inside of you and the story you want to tell.
Yeah. And I think it's being true to yourself, right? So, you know, I've been blessed to be very, very comfortable in my own skin, right? So there's, you know, I walked some pretty dark alleys, right, for the first 15, 20 years. And, you know, I started to document some of that. And now, you know, I feel, for me, it's more about empathy, right? In trying to get into somebody else's shoes. And, you know, for me, I can't write from a female perspective. It's impossible, right? So I write from a male perspective, but I try to do that, you know, with some empathy and really kind of bring back the curtain a little bit to show the female audience, you know, that, you know, we may act tough at times, but, you know, there's some feelings behind all of it as well, right? And I think for a lot of men, was starting to transition because my father's generation was the same way, right? Like, you know, pretty heavy handed and, you know, step up, be a man. And I've done all that. And I've taught my sons and my children to, you know, be true to yourself, right? I mean, step up and be, you know, be an adult, but, you know, there's no reason to hide. You know, if you're feeling something, then, you know, express it.
I couldn't agree with you more. I honestly couldn't agree with you more, Steve. And you are so inspirational. You really are. And
Thank
it's
you.
funny. I wrote a poem recently. I was on one of the book groups hosted by Terza Schaefer, and she's fantastic, her and Laura. And they posted they do like a weekly mini write. So they put up 2 images. You can pick one of them and select one of them and just do a quick short story, you know, 2 or 3 paragraphs. And one of them was of a guy sat in front of a bridge. And I did mention this in the last show because it really did touch me deeply.
Sure.
And this guy looked just in so much despair and lost and unhappy. So I wrote a poem about it. And the more I thought about it, I thought, you know, there are so many men out there who are brought up the same. You know, they've got all these deep emotions that they don't feel able to share or express. So they bottle it all up, and then at some point, it comes to a boiling point.
Right.
So you know, for you to set a new standard of male writers who are willing to, you know, write stories about it from a male perspective, your insecurities, your fears, your doubts, you know, your worries, it is so refreshing, and I can understand why your books are so highly rated. I really can.
Thank you.
We've got a couple more, a few more people that's joined us actually. Let me pop them up quick. Stephanie's just joined us. She says hello. She's a fantastic author, contemporary author like yourself in New York.
Hi, Stephanie.
She's brilliant. She really is. And we've got Darlene says hello, Beth and Steve. We've also got Pammy who's joined us. She says hi.
Hi, Pammy.
I love the love hearts. We're feeling the love today. We really, really are. And James has just joined us. He says, hello, everyone. I may be late, but I'm here.
Hey, James.
As always, James, better late than never. That's what I say.
For sure.
Now, I want to talk to you about your most recent book, The Menu.
Right.
Can we have a look at that beautiful book? Because it is stunning. Look at that. It is gorgeous.
Thank you.
Absolutely gorgeous. Thank you so much. And for those of you who are watching, Steve is actually giving away a signed copy of The Menu. So all you have to do to win it is to share this interview, and you will be entered in to win a signed copy direct from Steve. It is US only, because the pandemic is wreaking havoc on our postal system at the moment.
Right.
The safest option without it getting lost. But you can literally share this interview in book clubs, book groups, whatever. And the more you share, the more entries you get. Now, I have to say, when I looked at the statistics for The Menu, I mean, it's won awards. It's been featured on all these different TV shows. It's got massive amount of reviews. I have to say, I was like, wow, this is amazing. On Amazon, it's 4.8 out of 5. And on Goodreads, it's 4.5 out of 5, which is absolutely amazing.
That's a miracle for Goodreads, yeah, for any book.
Yeah, I know, Goodreads, right? That is absolutely amazing. And it's described as soul awakening. That really touched me, soul awakening. I thought that was absolutely amazing. Now, it comes under Christian romance and family life fiction, among others. What made you decide to write The Menu? Was it something specific that just inspired you to write it, or did something happen that you thought, I need to write about this and share it with the world?
Yeah, well, great question. I write reality-based fiction. So for me, the average book takes me 6 to 9 months to write. The Menu took me close to 10 years. And the reason for that, Beth, is I needed to get it right. I needed to get that message right. So I'm not a very religious man, but I am a man of great faith, which has sustained me, during wartime and combat. And but it's that faith that I wanted to teach to my kids, right? So I figure if I can write a book and stay true to the message for my children, then hopefully the rest of the world will embrace it. And I absolutely did that. And part of the purpose was to, I think we have a baby that's born in the family and everybody celebrates, right? And then my dad, who lived 70 some odd years very successfully and filled with love and respect, he passes away and everybody's grieving, and there wasn't that same celebration. And I think, wow, that's like we're celebrating birth, but if you have any faith and you believe, that it goes on after this, right, beyond the physical, why aren't we celebrating that? So The Menu really was written, basically for my kids to kind of ease some of their fears of death and say, listen, if you have faith and you truly believe, then you should celebrate when somebody leaves, right? Because we're all going to be together again.
Do you know what? That you're absolutely right. You really, really are spot on with that, because we do know that there's some cultures that do celebrate a death, or should I say, they celebrate the life of the person who's passed.
Right.
There's a tradition in New Orleans where they celebrate the life of the person that's passed. And obviously, in Mexico, they have the Day of the Dead where they celebrate and pay homage to the people that have passed. Right. I think that's a wonderful message. I really, really do. And it actually touches me quite deeply. Because I've always been a believer that, this life isn't the end. There is another life afterwards. And I say that because I swear to you, Steve, I had the weirdest experience when I was a child. I'm going to freak you all out now. Do you know, in fact, I'm going to quickly say hello to my mum because she's just joined us. Hello, Mum. I love you.
Hi, Mum.
And this story involves her, actually. So she'll be like, yeah, she's right.
Right.
So when I was a child, because I'm the same way with my own children, the same as you. When I was a child, I was very, very close to my great-grandfather, and I worshipped the ground he walked on. He was just the coolest, best granddad ever. And we just had like a little soul connection. We just connected, you know.
Right.
Well, one night I'm in my top bunk of my bunk beds, my sister's underneath, and I think I was just about to fall asleep, or I was asleep. I'm not sure. It was so long ago. Bearing in mind I am 50 next month. Woo-hoo. So, you know, I can't remember everything exactly how it happened. But next thing you know, I'm looking over because there's like a glow in the bedroom, and I look over and there's my granddad by my bedroom door, and he's all like glowing and like there, but not there. And he, you know, and he basically said, you know, I'm sorry, I have to go.
Wow.
Look after your mum and your sisters. I love you. I'll always be looking over you and watching you and blah, blah. And my mum heard me talking and thought I was having a nightmare. So as she was coming up the stairs to check on me, he sort of said goodbye again. I love you, blah, blah, and then vanished. Well, I was heartbroken.
Sure.
I'm devastated. You know, my favorite granddad, and he's saying goodbye. I'm not going to see him again. Well, my mum thought I was having a nightmare or a dream until she got the phone call the next morning to say that he'd passed in the night.
Wow.
It was the weirdest thing ever.
Yeah, that's goosebumps right there.
Yeah, I know, right? The hairs on the back of my neck.
Yeah, right.
But the weird thing was throughout my life since then, every time I've been like really upset, heartbroken, stressed, you know, I mean, bearing in mind, you know, as I said, I'm nearly 50, so I've been through lots of emotions and through life.
Right.
Every now and again, I will get a waft of aftershave as if it's been literally wafted under my nose. Nobody else can smell it.
Yeah, and he's come to see you.
Yeah, it's almost like my dad's like right there next to me going, I've got you. Don't worry. I'm there.
Yeah.
You know? So I agree with you. And I've always, like you, I've said to my children, you know, celebrate the life of people that have gone. Remember the good times and the happy memories. And like you, I think it's important to think of life that way.
Right.
Because otherwise, oh my gosh, you know, people end up wallowing in self-pity and loss and grief without remembering the good times and living life in honor of the people that
I agree. I totally agree. Yeah, I've had, you know, similar situation, like, you know, just to go back as part of the inspiration for the menu. I when I was in the Gulf War, I was in an accident of all things, but I flipped a Humvee and the driver's side actually crushed and I was thrown from the vehicle. I mean, there was no real reason that I should have survived that. And, you know, for me, I felt so alone at that point, right? And it was about 3 hours later when we were actually, you know, medevaced out of there. But I remember thinking, I think the worst thing that can happen to a human being, right, a fellow human being, is that they feel alone, right? So on the cover of the book, it's like, you are never alone, not ever. And I want that with this book. I want people to feel that, you know, no matter how bad things get, you know, we're kind of all in the same boat, right? So at the very least, don't feel like you're alone.
Exactly. Do you know what? You're spot on there. I don't think we are ever alone.
No.
No matter who you are, what circumstances you're going through, there is always somebody that you can reach out to. There is always that one person you can reach out to.
Absolutely.
Even if it's somebody you don't know that well.
Right.
If they're that type of person, you can reach out to them and they will help you.
Yeah.
I think people's worst mistakes is feeling alone and not asking for help.
I agree.
And not admitting I need help.
Right.
You know, that's so important. I can't stress that enough. There is always somebody out there. And your message is so important. I think it's also wonderful, even though it took you so long to write it, which I applaud you. I think that's amazing that you took your time to get it right, because too many authors are in such a rush.
Right. I agree.
Their book out. They don't wait to get it right before they do it.
Right.
And then they end up backpedaling and having to go back and
Sure.
redo it again. You know,
Right.
it's just not worth it, is it? Get it right the first time, take your time, and then you will get the best possible reviews, like Steve here. But the fact that you took 10 years, that must have been quite a journey, because you were writing it as your children were developing and growing up.
Right. Absolutely.
That must have been quite a nice.
Yeah, it was. I mean, it's, for me, it's that, you know, that spiritual journey, right? But as a dad, as a husband, you know, and both my wife and my children hope, you know, make me a better man, right? I want to be a better man for them and the best version I can be of myself. So, you know, if I had taken this book and just kind of whipped it out the way that I do some of my other stuff, which just kind of comes to me, I put the time and effort in, but this really had to marinate, right? Because the message was so much deeper, and it was something that I wanted to leave my kids and my grandkids, and to say, listen, you know, I'm not trying to recruit into any religion here, but I believe that we're all connected. Always. I believe that you're never alone, ever. I'm always going to be with you. I got your back. I'm in your corner, that whole thing. And the book had to be that, right? And I think once I got that right, then I was able to share it with the world.
Yeah. Do you know, it's amazing, isn't it? You know, there are so many people who are religious, but as you said, religion doesn't always have to be about a God. It can be about a faith in life, a faith in humanity,
each other,
a faith in each other and society. And that coincides with a respect of other people, of different faiths and beliefs and everything.
Absolutely.
else.
Yeah.
And you see, you know, the menu seems to just be so faith-based, but neutral.
Yes. Universal. Absolutely.
Yeah. I think you've done a fantastic job of doing that. I really, really do. And I'd love to hear everybody's thoughts on what you think about faith, and, you know, and the fact that it's important for people to understand it from life from a male perspective as well as a female perspective. I'd love to know what you all think. So do pop them in the comments, and don't forget your questions as well. It is really, truly amazing, isn't it? Because, you know, I think everybody has faith in something. But I think after reading the menu, I think it's even more important to have, as you said, to have faith in each other, and faith in your own family as well. I don't think there's anything more important than family. And I say that with great respect to friendships as well, because I've got amazing friends who I consider family.
Sure.
You know, and I've got some family that I hardly know, and they don't give two hoots whether I succeed or not, and have no interest in what I do whatsoever. But the close friends to me are like family.
Yeah, the cheerleaders, right? I mean, it's so true, right? And that's the family you create, right? With love and respect, and absolutely.
Yeah. What's been the most surprising thing for you on your writing journey? I mean, obviously, you know, you've been on TV shows, you've got multiple awards and everything, but what has been the most significant thing for you since you've been publishing?
Yeah, I think probably, you know, I'll go back to my kids, right? So I think the greatest gift that I ever gave them is they watched me fail for nearly 2 decades, right? So, you know, as I was honing my craft, and I mean, you know, the rejection rate, this is a really difficult industry, right? So you're at it, you stay at it, you're grinding, and the whole time I'm trying to teach them, listen, we don't get what we wish for, but we always get what we work for. And it wasn't me just saying that, it was me trying to show them. So finally, when I started to see some of the success and celebrate with them, we've gone to, you know, festivals together and different things. I'll invite them. Sometimes it's just one-on-one, sometimes it's the whole family. But there's always that grin, right? Where it's like, you know, he stayed at the table and waited for the winning hand. But my thing is, people use the word lucky. I'm not sure it's luck. I think it's probably more preparation. So when that preparation meets opportunity, and it took me a long time to find those opportunities, but once I had them, I was able to share it. But I love the idea that that my kids saw me grind it out. And, you know, here I am saying, oh, dreams come true, but you got to work for it. And I don't think I'll tell you about that. At a certain point, I don't think I could have tapped out, right? Just for them. It would have been like, what a message, right? But thankfully, you know, we've had some success, you know, so they've seen it and they've experienced it firsthand.
Do you know, I feel like we're kindred spirits. I really do, honestly, because you're absolutely right. You know, my mum, who is my biggest hero, as I said, you know, she's watching. Hi, Mum.
That's awesome.
She's the strongest woman I know. I mean, she really is the strongest woman I know, and so was my grandmother. My grandmother just went through hell with my granddad.
Right.
My granddad, not a very nice person.
Right.
But it turned my mum and my grandmother into two of the strongest women I will ever know. And my mum always, whatever I wanted to do or try, she was like, go for it, do it, work hard. If you're going to do it, give it your all. And I've always followed that mantra. And you know, like you, I've had life challenges. You know, I had a very nasty car accident in 2007, which left me with permanent nerve damage and chronic regional pain syndrome. Don't feel sorry for me. There are a lot more people out there worse off than me.
Right.
But it never stopped me. Once I, you know, started on the road to recovery and decided, okay, I have to choose a different career path. I need to push forward. You know, things either make you or break you.
They do.
You said, and you know, if you've got the foresight and the positivity to go, okay, I'm going to pick myself up. Let's reevaluate. This is my new goal. I'm going to go for it. Like you and your children, you know, my kids have seen me push through all that. Keep going. Find something I love to do that I can make a career of.
Right.
Go for it. And you know, I'm sure you're the same. I regularly do 19-hour days. I'm up at 7. Sometimes I go to bed till 2 and 3 in the morning. And I try and sneak in the bed. Unfortunately, I hold my hands up now. I snore like a man about it. And as soon as I start snoring, my husband's like, oh, 2 o'clock then.
Yeah, there's no sneaking around.
No, at least he knows I'm
when
working.
You're a snorer. Sure, absolutely.
I'm still there typing away.
Yeah.
But that, you know, my children have seen me, as you said, keep going, do it all myself, push.
Yeah.
You know, and you're right, you know, there is such thing as luck. Sometimes we do have lucky moments, but it's more about, as you said, creating the opportunity.
Right.
You know, setting goals. I want to go this way. I've got to create opportunities along the way to make that happen. Right. And success does come when you keep going, doesn't it?
I think so. I think you have to own it, right? The good and the bad. And this is what I've tried for years to teach my kids. Like, you're going to get pushed down. You're going to get knocked down. You're going to end up on your knees multiple times. That's not the question. The question is, what do you do with that, right? So you need to own it. And even, you know, after I was done working in the prison, I actually worked with, you know, trouble youth for many years. And I would tell them, you know, there's nothing worse than a walking victim, right? Because if I'm pointing fingers outside of myself and say, you know, it's because of Beth that I'm in this situation, blah, blah, there's no way for me to, you know what I mean, to get myself out of that. So for me, it's all about owning it, right? And you're going to have your terrible days and maybe even some bad years, you know, COVID, quote unquote COVID, right? But we're going to get past it, right? And there'll be better days. And my thing is, you know, ride the coaster. You're on a roller coaster, ride it, enjoy it. Even the dips are going to, you know, they can be thrilling if you have the right attitude.
I agree. I think, you know, no matter what life throws at you, as long as you learn from everything, that's all that matters. Learn not to do it again, or learn to do it a different way, or learn to do it with a different person, or whatever it is. You know, it's all about learning from that, taking away whatever positive experience you can, and implementing that positivity into pushing forward. Honestly, my hat's off to you. I think you're fabulous. We've got Bonetta has just joined us. She says, hello and good afternoon to you, Queen Beth and Steve Manchester. Truly awesome to be here. Thank you, darling. She is absolutely awesome. Do you know what? I'm super. That's perfect timing, actually, Bonetta, because you are actually the winner for the signed copy of Judy Prescott Marshall's book from last week for sharing her interview. So congratulations. Wow. She is last week's winner. Well done, my darling. If you can message me with your address in a private message, then I can pass that over to Judy for you. Congratulations. I love having winners, Steve. It just makes my day.
Absolutely.
Claire's joined us. Hi, Claire. She says, amazing to see your hard work and success be recognized.
Thank
Who in
you.
life has been a huge inspiration to you? Oh, that's a good question.
Yeah, I got to tell you, there's multiple people, right? But it really all started with my grandfather. So my grandfather was an amazing storyteller, right? He could make you laugh, cry. I couldn't tell the difference between fact and fiction. It didn't even matter, right? But you would literally sit at this man's, the foot of his rocking chair, and he would spin these tales. And he had planted a seed in me that I didn't realize at the time that, words have power. They can make us laugh, they can make us cry. But more importantly, they connect us, right, at a very human level. So I don't realize at the time that he's planting the seed, but he was known as a swamp Yankee, right? So I come from New England, and he's kind of a backwoods guy. So when I served in the Gulf War, my code sign was Swamp Yankee. So I paid homage to him. And then years later, I realized, my God, like he inspired me when I was a child. And I've always, for years, right, stop daydreaming. And now I tell everybody, please continue to daydream, right? Like that's where it's at. So definitely my grandfather was the first, and probably, and he passed when I was 12 years old, but I'm not sure another human being has had that much of an impact on my life.
I think that's amazing. I think there's always at least one person in your family or maybe a friend who has that effect on us, isn't it? And I think it's so important to embrace that type of relationship.
Sure.
I think that's absolutely lovely. I love people like that who can tell a good yarn as
Oh,
well.
yeah. He was something.
Oh my gosh. My mum's actually a bit like that. Oh my God. Some of the stories she tells me, and I'm absolutely crying. Let's have a look. And we've got, there we go. So Pammy says, I have worked with and known Steve for years and read many of his books. The Menu is Steve's best work yet, and I believe his legacy as a writer. Oh,
thank you, Pammy. I'm on it. Thank you.
Do you know that means the world to us, doesn't it? As authors,
it does.
Be able to connect with people on such a profound level. I mean, when I read your reviews for The Menu, you could tell they were. Everybody needs to look. Honestly, everybody who's watching, go onto the Amazon link, which is attached to this video, and have a look at the amazing reviews and editorial reviews for The Menu. Sorry, I'm crying here. Look, 'cause I'm laughing.
Well, I just want to throw this in. Pammy, obviously we've known each other for years, but it's an honor that she would say that, because she's a peer, right? She's an incredibly talented writer in her own right. So I really appreciate those words. They mean a lot to me.
Oh, I tell you, you can't get better praise than that, can you? By your peers. I think that always means the world to us, especially because I think for when we first start out as authors, we have this imposter syndrome.
Sure, absolutely, yeah. You fake it till you make it, right?
That's hard to shake, and it's only when you actually start getting comments and reviews from your peers and people in the world that you actually start believing in yourself and thinking, okay, perhaps I'm not bad then.
Right, exactly. I love it.
So lovely. That's so lovely. Let's have a look. We've got so many comments here. Right, let's have a look. Okay, Bernetta says, Steve, I commend you. Truly a legend in the making, and so excited to support and be a part of this interview with you. Oh,
thank you, Bernetta. That's wonderful.
She is such a queen. She is absolutely amazing lady. Claire says, do you enjoy reading in your free time, Steve? And if so, whose books do you enjoy reading? If you don't get a chance to read, what other hobbies do you enjoy? Very good question.
That is a great question. So I love to read. I'm a voracious reader, but I write a lot. And when I'm writing, I will not read, because, I mean, Beth, right? You'll be at the laptop and you kind of tapping. I think I've been at this for so long that, people, they worry about plagiarism, right? And I laugh. My style, my voice, my tone, everything's there, right? You know if the book came from me or it didn't come from me. But there are times I'll be, reading something and I read slower and slower as I get older, because I love the way people put words together, right? The transitions. And I mean, it's just poetry to me, right? So I'll be reading something and then I'm writing that night and I'm like, wow, that looks, a little bit familiar. Like, what the heck? Like, I'm done. So when my wife and I go away on vacation, whatever, I'll pack, 3 or 4 books. I just finished reading Anthony Doerr, All the Light We Cannot See, which was amazing. Beneath the Scarlet Sky. So I'm kind of all over the place. Most people are very topical readers, and I think the average reader probably brings in 3 or 4 books a year. So they'll stick with, the Stephen King and the James Patterson, because they know, right? Like I don't have to worry about, so that's why it's tough for new writers to kind of break in. For me, I probably read a lot more manuscripts and people who are unpublished than work that is published. And unfortunately, because of the way the industry is, some of the best work I've ever read in my life is unpublished, truly. And as far as other hobbies, I love to vacation. I love to travel, love to go away, probably love even more to come back. I'm a big beach person. I love the peace of the beach. I kind of find my place there. But as I get older, it's become slower and slower for me. I walk. I don't run anymore. I walk. But I love it, and it's just a season of life that I'm starting to surrender to and accept, which is really cool.
That is so awesome. That really is. And I agree with you on the indie author front. Some of the best works I've read have been by indie authors,
Right?
And they just don't get the reach
No.
that I would love to see. And I can now. I'm an author myself. I understand why.
Absolutely.
So few of us have the funds to
Yeah.
really market on a big scale. We don't have the funds. It costs so much money to massively market our books.
Right.
So indie authors, literally, and we know this from experience, we have such a tiny little budget. We can only reach a certain amount of people,
Sure.
whereas the publishers are reaching globally.
Oh, absolutely.
We're there. What I would love to see at some point is a publishing company who actually goes out of their way to find these self-published gems,
Right.
who literally have got the tiniest little reach, but their books are getting amazing reviews and are doing really well, and then embracing them.
Right.
To me, it's like try before you buy.
Oh, yeah.
You're seeing what the market is like for that book before you even sign that author. I mean, why would that not happen? It blows my mind. I mean, I'm a sales and marketing person. That's what I've always done. And the try before you buy is there for a reason. And if publishing houses can literally find these indie authors that have only reached a tiny little fraction of their marketing potential, but they're doing really well,
right?
Well, get in there, get them, because they've tested the market. Their books are getting great reviews. Why would you not take them and just blow it up?
Right. Yeah, I agree with it, and I love that you said that. And I'll tell you, from a personal perspective, I've never considered myself a show pony when it comes to writing, but I am a workhorse. I'm like you, right? I'll just, there's not a room that I'll walk into where I think somebody can outwork me, right? And I think that's been the key to my success. That being said, I grind it out, right, to get the reviews and the endorsements. Everything's legitimate, you know what I mean? But what I wouldn't do to have some of the opportunities that these conglomerates provide, these 7 or 8 authors who sit at the top of the rack, right? And I think that's, all what we're kind of going toward. The one thing I will say that I've struggled with through the years is, being satisfied with what you have and what you've done versus being hungry for the next step, right? And it's finding that balance, right? Because I can't thank, and I don't call them fans, I call them my readers and friends, right? But I cannot thank them enough. So if they don't read my stuff and they don't enjoy it, I don't have a job, right? I don't, you know what I mean? Yeah. My passion just kind of goes into a notebook. But what I wouldn't do to be able to reach more, right, is the point, right? So you set it up where you have all the right reviews, and I'm winning these awards, this and that, and then sometimes you look at the numbers and you think, my God, all the work that's gone into this. But it's the grind, right? You got to go out and just do it.
You do, you absolutely do, and it does start off super small, and it gets there. I mean, like you, I remember when, I first started getting my first reviews for my first book, and I'm like, oh my God, this is amazing.
It's amazing.
And obviously you always get like a handful from the people that are, fairly close to you.
Yeah.
However, what a lot of people don't realize, if you want to find out who your real supporters are, publish a book.
Right.
And then you'll find out.
Oh, absolutely.
I've actually had, apart from, a very few, I've actually had way more support and encouragement and amazing reviews and everything else by total strangers, people who I literally do not know.
Yeah.
And that has been mind blowing for me. But I think we all go through a little phase right at the beginning where we think, I've supported everybody else. Why is no one supporting me? You just have to get over that. It's a case of,
right. And it just plays out. Right.
Yeah, it's life. It's life. It's one of those things. Not everybody's into reading. Not everyone's into books. Moving on. And you just, you just got to push forward. But as you keep pushing forward, like you said, you do start getting more notice. You do start getting more reviews, book clubs picking it up, and groups starting to talk about you and your work. But as you said, you have to keep grinding, don't you?
Oh, yeah, you do. You absolutely do. And I love book clubs. And I love that one person who didn't like the book, right, and wants to, kind of bring up. And I embrace that as well, right? So for me, and I say this a little bit tongue in cheek, right? But if I'm writing for my children, right, first and foremost, and my wife, and and I'm trying to build this body of work, right? If I'm satisfied with the way a book is done and it comes out, and years ago when you first start, right, obviously they're like trophies. Now it's the manuscript means more to me than the actual published work. But I'll go to a book club and people, I really love the book. Thank you, I appreciate it. I really couldn't stand the book. Okay, you know what I mean? Like it's like I'm in such a place now where I'm fine with all of it, right? And if it can make me better for the next book, then I'll listen to what you have to say. I really will. But I love interaction because for me, writing a book is like the first half of a discussion and getting that feedback is the second half, right? And that's where it really becomes a conversation. And it connects us, right, to other humans. So.
Oh, absolutely. And the thing is, from an author point of view, we literally pour our heart and souls into these books, these novels. It takes us more hours than people realize. I mean, you've got just the rough draft, then the first draft, second draft, third draft, the edit and everything. It takes us so long. I mean, as you said, it took you 10 years.
Oh, yeah.
To make your book in your eyes as perfect as possible.
Right.
What a lot of authors don't realize is, getting bad reviews or people that don't like our work is part of it.
Sure.
We can't please everybody all of the time. That's impossible. We're always going to get the odd reader who doesn't connect with it, doesn't connect with our characters, doesn't like the way we've written it or whatever. The one thing is, as you said, remembering we can't please everybody.
Right.
And two, we do need the odd not so good review because then it shows that our reviews are genuine.
No, absolutely. And I'll tell you, the only enemy for me is apathy, right? So if you feel passionate enough about something, whether you love it or hate it, there's passion, right? That's the conversation, right? The thing that blows my mind, especially with the menu, is because I did pour my soul into this thing, right? I'll be, out at a restaurant, my wife and I will be having dinner, and somebody will approach me and talk to me about the menu. And they talk to me in such intimate detail as if I've known them my whole life. And then I think, wow, that's strange. And then you realize they do know me.
Yeah.
They know me very well. I may not know them. So I don't know if that's a disadvantage, but it makes for a strange conversation, at least in the beginning. And then I've learned to kind of work with that.
I think that's lovely. I mean, that is the biggest compliment ever, isn't it? When they've read your book and they've connected with you and your words so much. I mean, that you can't get a bigger compliment than that.
Right.
You can't. Yeah. Could you hold up your book again?
Sure.
Because obviously we've had some late people coming in. Look at that. It is absolutely beautiful. It really, really is gorgeous. Don't forget, if you share this interview, you get a chance to win a free signed copy.
Thank you.
It's awesome. Carla says, I find reviews interesting. Bad ones don't bother me for some reason. At least they read my book.
I agree with that.
That's the way to be, though, isn't it? I mean, we look at reviews that are not so great. As long as you look at the ones that are constructive, that may have, because obviously, as I said, you're going to get people that don't like it. They're not everybody is going to like it. But for a new author, it's important to look at what the reviews say, because if they're saying, oh, the characters were a bit, they weren't showing much emotion. And if you've got that being said throughout reviews, then you need to go back and maybe relook at it.
Right.
But if they're odd negative reviews and they're all a bit different and just from a personal point of view, then that that's it. You know, it's just one of those things. Luckily, nearly all your reviews are fantastic.
Well, I'll
which is
tell you,
awesome.
I appreciate that. But recently I got beat up by some evangelical Christians, right? So it's so funny. Like we all have our faith. You know, I was raised Catholic. I'm a Christian by faith, but I'm not trying to sell that. That's not what this book is about. It's about connecting us, right? It's more of a universal message. And there was this one woman that really beat me up, almost like, you know, I'm on my way south when this life's over, right? So I thanked her, you know, for reading the book, and I think it kind of took her back a little bit, right? And I said, "Listen, you took the time and effort to read the book. I'm sorry that we weren't able to connect on that. You know, you see this, and I'm seeing something that's different, right? So that's fine." But almost like angry about it. Then I think, wow, the passion that it kind of, you know, erupted in her. Yeah, pretty amazing, right? So you know she's talking about it with other people, whether or not she's, you know. But I think for the, you know, when I look at it, as long as most of it is positive, as long as my intent or my intentions were pure, which they were for this book, then I did the best I could do.
But you know what? Even reviews like that can actually sell books, because she could be telling friends and family, I read this book and I don't agree with him and blah, 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 blah.
Right.
You need to read it and see what you think.
Yeah, exactly.
So, you know, the odd negative one can actually sell you books as well. You know,
Right.
It's one of those things. But give us a quick rundown of the menu and the you know, the storyline for the book, because I really do think everybody needs to read it. It's amazing, and I want everybody to hear in your own words.
Yeah.
About the menu.
No, I appreciate it, Beth. So the heart of the book is actually a love story between a man and a woman, but I don't want to say that's a trick, but for me, this surpasses the love between a man and a woman, right? This is, you know, it's the premise of the menu is a really simple one, right? So I thought, if you believe in an afterlife, do you also believe that the spirit exists before you come into the, you know, come to the earth, right? And then, you know, I might have been in the shower whenever, you know, when this idea pops up, and I think, wow, how cool would that be? And what if I made God a character, and God had this great sense of humor, like he was like somebody that you really wanted to spend time with, right? And then I think, well, what if you had a say? What if he did hand you a menu and said, you know, pick what you want? And I say, well, you know, I want courage, and he says, well, you can have it, but not unless you pick fear as well. I said, well, I'll take both of them. I'd also like to have peace. Well, you're going to have to, you know, learn turmoil, hand the book back and say, I can't have any of the good without the bad, can I? And then God says, pretty clever design, don't you think? So for me, none of us is ever alone. Obviously, this comes from the desert, right? And, you know, to ease my children's fear of death is another huge reason for this. But what I loved about writing this book is it's all about perspective, right? So, you know, some of my favorite books that I've read, like, you know, The Art of Racing in the Rain, right? Where the book is written from the perspective of a dog.
Oh, I love that.
Right. In this book, I think, wow, can you imagine, right, if you were able to choose the life to include your gender, your purpose, the job that you're going to have, you picked everything that, you know, all your attributes and traits, and even some of the things that you're going to learn. And God says, listen, you know, you're going to forget all this. The memory will be erased until you return home to me, right? So go enjoy yourself, almost as if he's setting you out to get on this roller coaster. Do you know what I mean? And as soon as I had that premise, I'm like, this thing just kind of took off for me. The beginning, and I don't want to give it away, but the beginning is, the perspective is very, very different. And then you get into this guy's life. And I think what spins a lot of quote unquote Christians when they read the book is he's a sinner. He's a real guy, right? So I needed him to be real, relatable, you know, to have all these flaws. Yeah, exactly. Right. And then come to a place where, you know, he finds this woman and they share this incredible love, but it's not really a physical love. It's, you know, that spiritual, that connection that reaches far beyond. And in the meantime, you meet other characters that are connecting with him as well, right? You know, to include his son. But it's really about an ordinary man living an extraordinary life. And you as the reader, almost if you're watching an old Columbo show, right? Like you get all the insight. So this is what this guy's ordered. He now forgets it. He goes on with his life to live this stuff. And then, you know, and another thing I love about the book is when characters pass away, they're still in the book because, you know, they go home to the father and, you know, they open their eyes and he's standing there all excited, like they just came off the roller coaster. How was it? Did you enjoy yourself? And then they kind of go through it, right? And then he says, watch, you know, everybody, there's a reason for everything. You may not understand it at the time, but watch, everybody picks their own life, their own perfect life for them. So
Yeah.
just watch, everything's fine. And that's the feeling that I got when I wrote the book. It was almost like, it's okay, right? And we're like, well, this is happening. No, it's okay. Everything's going to be fine. It's going to be fine. Relax. It's okay, right? And that's really the message. And knowing that, boom, we're all connected. We're all kind of traveling together down this river.
Do you know what? I think it's absolutely wonderful. I love the concept of the book. I really, really do.
Thank you.
Because life is like that. It's full of the up and downs, up and downs,
Sure.
up and downs. And there are people in your life that either enhance your life or make it harder.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
That's one of those things. And
right.
through from childhood, you learn that, good things and bad things happen. People come in and out of your life for a reason.
Sure.
As
Absolutely.
long as you learn from that, it's all
right.
good.
It is.
And you grow and develop as you get older and you go through these experiences. And I love the fact, that the whole concept of, you can have this, but you've got to have this, because that's life, isn't it?
Sure, absolutely.
It really is. It's like constant calls like that.
Yeah, there's a price to pay for everything. I recently finished a book called Dad, a Novel, and I said within the book that you must surrender to the worry, right? Because worry is the price you pay for parenthood, right? So, and that really comes from the menu, where it's like, if you don't think you're going to pay a price you're going to pay the price. The deal is, I think what helps me is I always look back on the past, and I think some of the greatest tragedies that ever happened to me became turning points, right? A crossroads on the road where there was some of the greatest blessings, and I didn't know it at the time, but I think, wow, you know what I mean? Like when you look at the culmination of it, it makes great sense. So maybe looking forward, I should have a little more faith to think that things are going to work out.
Yeah, I agree. Interestingly enough, and it's something I'll have to share with you nearer the time. I've actually just started writing a new book called Good Grief.
Oh, good for you.
Yeah, and it's all about grief and the different types, and and it's exactly what you said. The roller coaster that we go on and everything else. For me, that feels really important because, as you said, the bad situations do happen. Nobody goes through life without bad situations happening. That is what life is. When you look at COVID, I mean, that's the bad. We're all in that bad situation.
Absolutely.
And we're all trying to find a way to cope and reassess, readjust, and keep trying to be positive, with what we do. It's super important. It really, really is. Everybody, I can't say this enough. Everyone needs to go out and buy your book because it is really, truly amazing. And I understand why everyone's reviews are just so heartfelt, because you just connect with people, male and female, of all ages. We've got to have faith, no matter what your religion or no matter your religion. Faith is all about faith in love, life, humanity, and each other. Stephen, you've been an absolute diamond to talk to. Honestly,
thank you, my friend.
We could talk for hours, really.
I believe we could. It's been more than a pleasure. Really, it's been an honor to be here today, Beth. Thank you so much, and I appreciate you sharing, the menu with your audience and your folks.
You are so welcome. You are so welcome. Now, people will be watching this when they finish work or when they get up tomorrow, because obviously we've got viewers all around the world, which is absolutely wonderful.
That's exciting.
Stephen, if you wouldn't mind keeping tabs on the comments over the next week, just in case anybody else has popped a comment or question on for you. So everybody who's watching, if you aren't watching this live, you can still ask Steve a question or give him feedback on his book. Put it in the comments and he will see it.
And I'll reply.
Thank you, darling. And don't forget, if you share this interview, you will get a chance to win a signed copy of the menu. If you can just show us again, please, Steve.
There it is.
There we go. A signed copy direct from Steve. It is US only because of postage conditions at the moment. It's a bit of a nightmare for us. So it's US only, but you could win this beautiful signed copy. All you have to do is share. Book clubs, book groups, whatever. You share it wherever you want.
Yeah, please do. And I am available, right? So the one thing I promise myself is I will be approachable and available. So if, book clubs pick it up, I'm happy to jump in via Zoom or, if you're local, I'll come in there in person. So I love to talk to people about the book. It's such a cool conversation.
It really is. It really is. And don't forget, everyone, you've got the Witty Writers Show podcast on Spotify, Google, Apple, you name it, I'm on it.
You're all over the place.
Yeah. So if you want to re-listen to this live show, you can via the podcast, and you can listen while you're in bed relaxing, or in the bath, or you're driving. See, we're accommodating.
We sure are.
Thank you ever so much, everybody, for joining us today. And
thank you, folks.
Huge thank you to you, Steve, and I hope you'll come back on the show again.
I'd love to. Absolutely.
Wonderful. We will see you next Monday for the Witty Writers Show. Try again. The Witty Writers Show, with Mark Gottlieb from Trident Media Group this coming Monday. So everybody join us then. And we will be having some exciting news of a very important guest coming on the show. So I will share that hopefully next Monday as well. So thank you. And we will see you soon. Goodbye, everyone.